Hello, I've been running, and the name Judith Gobin popped into my head. Who is Judith Gobin?
Thank you, Denise. I'm a retired lecturer, having taught at the university for more than 25 years, 27 to be exact. I'm also a wife and a mother of two grown sons. Having retired, I now advise as a marine scientist. I'm enjoying where I'm at and continue to supervise students at the university, and of course, looking forward to continuing to give back to Trinidad and Tobago.
As a marine scientist, when you reflect on your past, what pops into your head?
I don't want to be remembered as the worm lady, but I do want to be remembered as having contributed to a large extent in the knowledge, building on the knowledge of marine biodiversity for Trinidad and Tobago.
And if you had to assess where Trinidad and Tobago is in terms of marine diversity, what would you say?
That we're in a pretty good place because we have documented, and this is a lot of other scientists along with me. We also a lot of marine biodiversity in different taxonomic areas. Fish are always very well known because that's what feeds people. So there's been a lot of documentation about the fish species that exist and a lot of data for that area, but for fisheries. But the other areas we don't see every day, what's living in the sea, what's not being caught. That's the excitement. And it's more exciting when you're talking coral reefs because that contributes, of course, to tourism, and people want to see us healthy. So we have been documenting, colleagues, coral reef biologists and so on, have been documenting a fair amount of the coral reef species and organisms associated with the coral reefs. What I've been involved in is those organisms we don't see, but they're very important. They live in the sediment, what we call benthic fauna. They play a major role in that's what the baby fish and the slightly bigger fish feed on, because they're feeding on the bottom sediments. So these organisms, if these organisms disappear, then our fish are going to starve. So they really are the base of the food chain as we know it. And so the knowledge and contribution that I've made in that respect, and of course that has influenced baseline assessments and so on that are required by the Environmental Management Authority when you have oil and gas exploration activities where the companies are required to do a CEC or rather to apply for CEC or Certificate of Environmental Clearance. And that is linked to the need they may have to do an environmental impact assessment. I feel that I've made a major contribution in marine biodiversity, which we don't see, but we want to know what the impacts of exploration activities out at sea, how they affect the biodiversity.
What changes our country needs to make to ensure that we preserve our biodiversity?
We have to pay attention. We have to read, use and apply the documents and reports. Many of us have played a large part and for a number of years provided. Some excellent scientific academic research work has been done in Trinidad and Tobago on marine biodiversity as well as terrestrial biodiversity. But we're not paying attention. We're not making that connection. What does this mean? What does this mean to Trinidad and Tobago? Why should we be looking to preserve and to look after, to protect this heritage of ours that is so very important, given the global sort of impacts of climate change, overpopulation, and the need for more food and things like that. So we have done a lot of very good work, but we really need to apply it. And perhaps scientists like myself and younger scientists, a lot of my colleagues, we need to be maybe translating for our policy makers what we have been really saying, because in all fairness to them, they often find that we give them documents. They need this translated. They need it distilled to the key points. And that's where I am wishing and I'm continuing to contribute. That's the area I'm contributing to now since my retirement. I am advising. I'm going to be distilling those messages and really attempting to make a difference.
Can you share with me a message for the man in the street?
It's great to have cleanup activities at the beach. I'm really communities People are very sensitive. I am very pleased to say that in the years of doing marine and environmental research, people are very sensitive. Children have learned their teaching and guiding their parents. Parents of a particular generation, they have grown up with it. This need to be protective of the environment and so on. But it has to be tackled at the source. So the plastics, the garbage that we are removing, and people have been spending a lot of time, a lot of corporate activities of social responsibility, those sorts of activities have been going on. But it's going to come back if we're not approaching it at the source. We need to be getting to the source. So why are we still selling plastics? Why are we selling bottled water? Let's use paper. Let's use a particular kind of wrapping paper. Do we need plastics for every single thing that we buy? So what I'm really advising is that we shift to getting to the source. Let's reduce plastics and solid waste in the environment. So then when we do the cleanups, we're going to be making a real difference. I don't want to knock activities people are engaged in, because of course it is very necessary, because often you'll find drainage in people's communities and so on get blocked, and they need to help with clearing. But I would like us to put the energies where it really should be placed. Let's get to the source of the problem. Let's work on removing the amount of plastics we are using and selling.
What else are you up to as a retiree?
It's great to enjoy one's home all of a sudden. One's not rushing out. So I really do enjoy my space at home. I have 2 grown sons, and I have always, the time I've invested in them while being a scientist at the same time, I'm really glad to say that they've turned out to be very good humans with the values we've instilled in them. So I'm really quite pleased to see that in action. At the same time, it's great to wake up some days and have just 3 emails to respond to. It's also great to choose what one wants to do. Giving back is part of it, and that's why I'm happy we're having this conversation. I don't want what we have done, scientists like myself, to just sit on a shelf. We really need to activate it, to get it out there, to let people know that Trinidad has produced some amazing researchers and the environment and marine environment. Let's use their knowledge, use the information they've built over the years. I certainly feel I have a lot to offer.
You've been married for a long time. You have 2 sons who are successful. What advice would you give to a young person who's just got married and had children?
For women in job, you need that support system. Good thing about Trinidad and Tobago and our communities is that we have it. It's the mom, the aunt, the mother-in-law, the sister. We really rely on it. You have to look for that support. It really does help. You may have a single mom wanting to build a career. It will take more time, but you need to develop that network. That support is the community that worked with me to bring me to where I am and to balance a work life, a mother, and a wife. That's what I suggest to colleagues and young women trying to balance it. It can work. You just need to invest in building that community. And it can be a neighbor, it can be a good friend, it can be your helper. I've been fortunate to have that group and a real community around me.
Thank you, Judith Gobin.